What's going on, boys? My name is Garen Belmont. How y'all doing today? And in today's video, we're going to be going over 5 weapons that I would like to see come into Wayfinder. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so the first weapon we have on the list is the spear, okay? Now let me tell you, this might be my inner Dragoon main in Final Fantasy XIV, but I would really like to see like a spear weapon or a javelin or something like that. I think it would be a cool weapon and a cool addition to the game, and it does fit within the fantasy and the lore of Wayfinder. And I think out of all of the weapons that I'm going to mention in this video, this is one of those ones that is more likely to come down the line than I think, some of the other weapons that I'm going to mention in this video. I think they could do some really cool things, such as maybe having references to Final Fantasy with Dragoons being able to like jump around and do like all kinds of crazy things. I think it would just be overall really cool weapon to see, and yeah, I'd be very excited to see that come into the game. Alrighty guys, so the next weapon on the list is dual wield. So dual wield swords, dual wield hammers, dual wield axes, leave it to the imagination. So I recently watched, what was it called, Sword Art Online. And the moment that Kirito pulled out those, his like dual swords and everyone saw that he was like dual wielding was such a cool moment. And I feel like dual wielding weapons is a weapon type that we might actually see come sooner into the game than probably anything else on this list, just because it's a lot easier to add into the game. It's very simplistic in its design, and I feel like it's also kind of brings in that warrior fantasy of like, Fury Warrior from World of Warcraft, where, you got two swords, whether it be two big swords or two small swords, and you kind of just swing them around, spin to win, and you're just going absolutely berserk. And it kind of fits into that like berserk, not berserk as in the anime berserk, but more of like that kind of like rage filled, just swinging swords around, just going absolutely nuts fantasy. And yeah, and they could do a lot of really cool things with they can do a lot of like really cool things with dual wield. So yeah, so I think dual wield would be another great addition into the game, and they could add some pretty cool options. Maybe of course like a dual wield weapon that can spin to win, a dual wield weapon where you do like maybe like a bunch of slashes and you just go absolutely crazy. I think that would be also a really cool weapon ability. But yeah. Alright, so the third weapon that we have on the list is the katana. Now, I don't know why, but the very thought of me playing Mommy Nis, with a katana and her doing like a lot of those like really cool like anime slashes and stuff like that. I don't know why, but that kind of hits different in my mind. But I feel like katana is one of those weapons that a lot of people really want because of the popularity of anime and just how those like fight scenes like Rory Kenshin and stuff like that, how those fight scenes influence what we perceive as cool and stuff, or it might just be my inner I got the power of God and anime on my side.
I have the power of God and anime on my side. Wait,
and I feel like they could also do a lot of great things with this, and my proof would be Elden Ring. Elden Ring has a lot of katana weapons in the game, and those weapons absolutely smack. Even if they suck like in terms of stats, the actual visuals of the katanas are so good, and they really make you just feel powerful. And I feel like Airship Syndicate, what they could do is maybe they could have a katana where it summons like a shadow clone, and the shadow clone does like a bunch of like smaller slashes, and then at the very end, maybe after like a certain time, like 5 seconds or something like that, the shadow clone will do like one big dash or like one big like slash, and it'll do like kind of like that very iconic like dash through the enemy, and then it'll have like the chink. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just think it would be so cool. And not only that, we could have something where when you're doing like a normal running animation, you can be like running and then have your your left hand like on the scabbard of the katana. I don't know what it's called in Japanese culture, and then have your right hand holding what is that part called? The hilt or the hilt, right? Either way, you guys know what I'm talking about. And then, I think that'd be cool. And then when you're running, you would have like the same animation as the samurai, or sorry, when you're sprinting, you would have the same animation as the like the samurai job from Final Fantasy 14 when you sprint in that game, where you have like the sword drawn, your hand is still holding the scabbard, and then now the sword is kind of like pointing outwards on the other side of your body. I don't know. Out of all of these weapons, katana is the one I want to see the most. Before it was bow, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, man, I really want to see a fucking katana. I think that would just overall be such a cool weapon for them to add into the game, and then they could make it another parry weapon like we have with the twin strikers. But yeah, on to the next weapon. Alrighty guys, so for the next weapon on this list, we have staffs. Now I feel like they could do a lot of things with staffs too, and when I was coming up with this list, I tried to figure out weapons that, yeah, they would have like, it's a base staff part, but also you could, do some really cool things with it. And with staffs, you could have like a thunder staff, fire staff, ice staff. You could maybe have like a nature staff that's more focused on healing. You maybe have staffs that fucking shield people, for maybe some support for your team. We don't really know, once we get raids, maybe we can figure out, what would be the best course of action in terms of, that kind of stuff. But for now, I think it would be really, really cool to see staffs in the game, just because you can do, like I said before, you could do a lot with them. And also, it would play into that mage play style that, maybe a lot of people really, really enjoy. I did mention staffs, I believe, last year in another video. And since then, nothing's changed. I would like to see staffs in the game. Still want the katana, but I think staffs would be a really great addition to the game. And then we could also maybe see, Wayfinders go with these themes of, we could see like a mage Wayfinder, with the katana. We could see like a samurai Wayfinder. We could maybe see like a berserker, or I guess Grendel is kind of like a berserker. Maybe we could see like some other kind of warrior type Wayfinder. Actually, we honestly don't have a warrior Wayfinder. We have Senja, which is a gladiator, and then we have Wingrave, which he is like a paladin. So we don't have really that like full-on warrior fantasy. I guess Senja would be the closest thing, but again, because of her mechanics and stuff like that, she has like the roar of the crowd, and the cheers, and the yada 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 blah 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 gladiatorial matches, to the death, thumbs down bullshit. Anyway, but yeah, I think I think staffs would be a really good addition to the game. On to the next weapon. Last but certainly not least, we have the bow. I think the bow is honestly like one of the more core fantasy weapons in like any kind of fantasy media, whether it be TV shows, anime, video games, what have you. Bows are just quintessential, okay? And I like my bows. Now, just like every other weapon that we have on this list, there are many different types of bows that Airship Syndicate could add to the game to offer a variety of playstyles. You have the recurve bow, the compound bow, long bows, short bows, etc., etc. There's probably even more types of bows that I'm not familiar with, but you could have like a short bow, be more maneuverable, faster, but it does a little less damage, but maybe your attack speed is a lot faster, your draw time would be a lot faster. Then you have things like compound bows, which might be like more well-rounded, more balanced. Then you have things like long bows that are, let's say they do more damage, but they might be slower in terms of their draw time, in terms of their fire speed, etc., etc. And I think they would fit in quite nicely with our current marksman rifles, because we have different types of marksman rifles that are, we have rifles, shotguns, we have the rail guns. You know what I mean? I think it would fit in quite well. Or maybe I'm just biased and I really want to see bows in the game. But yeah, guys, that is my list of 5 weapons I'd like to see come into Wayfinder. Now, at the end of the day, I'm just happy if we get any new weapon type at all. This was just a fun list that I wanted to kind of throw together to just show all the different types of options that there are out there for Airship Syndicate to go with. But yeah, and there of course are some honorable mentions. One of them off the top of my head would be gauntlets, like fist type weapons. You can go for like a monk playstyle, or something like that. Maybe like a brawler playstyle. Maybe you could have different types of gauntlets that fit more into those themes of like a monk or a brawler, where you're going more like, I don't know, ballistic with your, like a drunken fighter or drunken master or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. But yeah, guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video took a lot longer for me to make than I would honestly care to admit. I also wanted to keep this video as short as possible so that, it wasn't taking up too much of your time, because at the end of the day, this is just a fun video where, I wanted to just share some weapons that I would like to see in the game. Let me know in the comments below what weapons you guys would like to see in the game. As always, my name is Garen Belmont. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.